During the summer of 2017, a group of American students came to Ballintubber, County Roscommon, to take part in the now yearly, month-long Castles and Communities programme.
Castles and Communities is an archaeological and anthropological study of our historic landscape.
I immediately fell in love with the idea of going over to this small town in Ireland and doing an excavation on a medieval castle, and so I just got hooked, and the next day basically I bought my plane ticket.
For us in California, in the Bay Area, it's so hectic and busy. It's great to come out to a place like Ballintubber where it's just lovely people, lovely scenery.
And we have this great big Anglo-Norman castle built in the early 14th century.
This has always been a prized possession of the village and gave the village, I think, an identity.
We have a very close-knit community here in Ballintubber, and people are always eager to help.
The local community contribute to this programme by providing workshops, training and presentations about the essence of Irish culture. This film is a culmination of these events in Ballintubber to give the viewer a taste of our culture, our heritage and our old Irish ways. A feature of every Irish summer for many generations has been the cutting and saving of turf as fuel for the winter. A day on the bog was and still is as much a social occasion as it is practical for many communities in Ireland, as recounted by Tom Garvey.
Years ago when you came to the bog, the first thing you did was put on the fire. And before tin cans or anything else came out to boil an egg, they used to have a tea paper bag and they put their egg into it and they put it on the fire. And that would boil. Your kettle was hanging on the fire to keep it boiled in case you wanted a cup of tea. Then when you'd come to dinner time or lunch time and have your boiled egg or two and maybe a cut of cold bacon, your mug of tea, a lot of them would take a ramble across the bog to meet their neighbours. And it was a great social outing to go to the next bank or two, walk in a half a mile, meet your neighbour that you mightn't have met for a long time, because that time they weren't going to the pubs that much, they had no bloody money. So you met all your neighbours in the bog to be here for a month or two during the summer, between cutting it, turning it, footing it, clamping it, and then it had to be all brought home with the ass and cart or the horse and cart. So like it was a pretty long season. And then as soon as that was over, they attacked the hay, but for the bog part of it, it was about 2 or 3 months going. Some neighbours then went together and in co and they cut my bank first and they cut your bank next. I was wheeling and the other man was working the sleighing, and we got our fuel for the winter. So that was the way the bog used to work one time. A few years later then, when the tea bags day was done, they came with a pecan and they dropped their egg into the pecan and they used the pecan for boiling their egg. And then we advanced on to the saucepan. So there's nearly 3 generations, the paper bag, the old tin can, and then we got upgraded to the saucepan. Then the milk came this way. If you didn't put it in the bog hole, you had an old sock. And you put the bottle of milk into the sock and you left it in a shady place, and that was your bottle of milk for your tea. And I suppose nowadays what they bring is the gas stove to the bog, and there's no need to light the fire. They have their camper outfit and it's a bit easier. And the machine is cutting the turf, and there's not much work to it now compared with going back in my father's time. It was hard old work. I mean, you've seen there where the lads are up there now ready to go cutting with the sleighing and the wheelbarrows ready. And by the time you would have 5 or 6 big trailer loads cut, there was a good week or a week and a half gone. Then you had to go to the neighbour. Then when you had his done, you came back and you turned it. You left it there for a few weeks hoping the weather would be okay. Then you footed it. And then you clamped it. Then you had to draw it out to the side of the road because there was no twin wheels on tractors at that time, and the old donkey would sink. So you had to barrow it out onto the side of the road and then bring it home. And from here now to Ballintubber and outlying Ballintubber, it's a long distance with your donkey and cart. If you brought 2 or 3 loads in the day, you'd be doing well. So you can imagine a donkey load compared to a big tractor and trailer, the length of time it would take you to bring 6 or 7 tractor loads.
I first experienced the bog, I never saw a scene like this anyway when I came up. First on a pony and cart, I suppose, over 60 years ago. I'd have come with my father helping in the bog. We have our own family plot over there, and I did that work like the men are doing there. I dug turf, wheel turf, and we cooked the eggs and we had the bacon. And I know that when I arrive in the bog, I nearly want to lunch straight away, because you'd come on an ass and cart or a pony and cart, you'd be over an hour travelling to the bog. I know the first time I went to a bog, I was with an old neighbour, and to the bog way over there, and went on an ass and cart, I thought we're 100 miles away from home. So you'd be quite hungry, but usually, you start at 12:30, you'd get quite hungry, you'd have the dinner then, and you'd be good enough for the day, yes. You get the appetite. We would start cutting turf, I suppose, early May, and it's important to get the turf cut early, have it drying when you're doing the other crops at home. We would share their work with neighbours, I suppose, next door neighbour, the join in the cutting of the turf. They'd spend a week each, cut mine this week and the other man's next week, and that's the way it was shared out. And there was a great camaraderie in the bog. Like they'd watch each other to see who was in it first and compare how the thing was going. And we'd come to the bog around 10 in the morning, and you'd stay till, I suppose our train was, our clock was the train, the 6 o'clock train. So yeah, that was our timekeeper. There wouldn't be watches. But in the earlier days, these bogs were so wet here that you'd cut the turf all right near to the road, and then you'd have to take it out onto the road there in a barrow or bags, and take it with an ass and cart out to the main road and dump it at the tar road to be brought home with the horse and cart to the bigger load. So it was slavish work, but the people did it. They weren't used to anything else. In my day, it was mostly the men. No, the women would be at home looking after the farms and that. And they wouldn't have ways travelling like a car. You're going on a horse and cart, pony and cart, and women didn't go to the bog that much, no. In my day, the barrowman he'd get a pound to 150 a day, spreading turf and fed. Well, that turf you've cut there now, it would want at least 2 weeks to get a skin on it, hardened, they call it, get a skin on it that you can handle it. Then you'd stack it up and wait till it's dry.
A long day on the bog usually ended with some lively entertainment in the form of traditional Irish social dance. Mildred Byrne teaches some very enthusiastic volunteers some steps and explains the origins of some of the traditions.
Who was on the sleigh and cutting the turf? You were. Good, you as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down and we'll do the stack of barley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back. 1, 2, 3, and the short one. And 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, and 6, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, and 8, 2, 3. Are you doing all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. Round the house. Then 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3. Now, do you remember last week we done shoe the donkey? 1, 2, hop, 1, 2, hop, 1, 2, and 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 turn, and 1, 2, and 1. I cannot hear ye. I can't hear ye. I can't hear ye. That's more like it. Yes, that's it. In, out, and in, and up, walk 1, 2, 3, and turn. In, out, in, and up. In, out, in, and up. In, out, in, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4. In, out, in, and up. Round the house. In, out, in, and up. In, out, in, and up. In, out, in, and up. Round the house, be careful now. 1, 2, 3 for 1 step, 1, 2, 3 for 1. Good. Very good. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 2, 3. Then you take right hand in right hand, across from you. You dance that way, and we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, and 2. And back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know when you were in the bog today and the heather that's growing, lovely pink flowers on it? Well, when the men would be in the bog years and years and years ago, when they'd be coming home, they'd pull that heather and they'd make a sweeping brush out of it. And they called it a besom. That's an Irish word. You did Irish tonight, didn't you? Ask your teacher the next day, what's a besom? Besom is a brush like so. And of course there was no televisions them times, and there was no radios. So if there was what they call a rambling house, a house where people would all come in to sing and dance and joke and do whatever they would, there was no iPhones, just like your woman is on now. So there was none of that carry on. So your man would be getting ready for the people coming in, and he'd have this besom, and he'd be sweeping round the floor and the fire, the big open fire, with all that turf that you saved today. That's for burning and to give us a bit of heat. And then when he'd be finished, he'd throw the besom down the floor, and he'd say, dance around that. So that's where this brush dance originated, but now they've got very fancy. And they might change it again if they're not too tired. And then they'll look Connemara step. There's another one they'll do roundabout. You're not doing anything. Hey, up your boy. I'm watching you. A girl. Hey, a girl. And then if you're really fish, we go down and pick the brush. Now, I don't be worrying about me. You have a grand light skirt, but I have a tight skirt. And then you take the stick in your right hand, and we dance it across, and across, and across, and across, and across. Now we got to speed it up. Brilliant.
Culture Higa Iladida and Trona Shaw, Hig Willsgrove Hall. And this is where a lot of people used to meet for the gathering. They would play cards, they would ramble, they would tell stories, they would sing, and they would rejoice in everybody's company.
Oh, the stout it was cured with a poker, and parching the set cured the flu. The bacon that hung from the ceiling, this story I tell you is true.
Would you believe it? The hall is dated back to 1920. And the locals, I suppose, here in Willsgrove were before their time, because as my sister said there, they built it, they came together, they built it, no fundraising, no nothing. They got the stone from a quarry down here, just behind us here, there's a kiln, and they built it. And it was a great rambling house, and my uncle Paddy used to be on the door, and many a romance was made here, and I'm told many one was broken. But they used to play cards and do plays here. I remember my late father done plays, and he was involved in it. But it's a very historical village, Willsgrove, and the hall went into a bit of rack and ruin as the man says, with the dance halls and the television started and cinemas, and people were probably too big to go into a small hall. And a couple of years ago, myself and my good friend John Hopkins, everybody knows John Hopkins. I'll tell you one thing, if anything ever happens to John Hopkins anyway, we can close the gate. But myself and John, as you can see there on the wall there, we said we'd put it together, and my neighbour Patsy McCall gave us good advice, because he remembered it, well, some of it anyway, when it was going. But so no more than our ancestors, I done it and John done it, and we didn't look for funds or anything. Maybe we're a bit foolish. We might get a jet. But anyway, the same floor is in it, and Lord have mercy on Brendan Finn down the door, and he done a great job, the old-fashioned door. Of course, we had to criticise it because we couldn't say it was perfect, but he done a great job on it.
The neighbours had all gathered here for the whole winter, and each man would bring a sad or two of turf, coming with him. So that supplied the fire. And they collect for the lamp oil for the lamp. But the people of Wilsgrove at that time, they were very far-seeing people. They had that hall there, and every family, the young ones could come here and ramble, and they wasn't interfering with any house. You know, and it was a sort of a community centre before, a community centre it was. The night it was opened, there was a big splash on the local newspaper, Wilsgrove Hall open. And I don't know what was the name of the band. I think it was the Cavendish, was it?
It was the Cavendish. They used to call it the Ballintubber band.
That's right.
Of Radio Air and Field.
Or maybe the Cavendish are gone. But anyway, the locals couldn't go in. They had to stand outside and charge the stranger. So all the locals was outside and the stranger was inside the night it opened. So that was it. Now, that's all I can tell you about it.
I love hope, I love tears, I love freedom, I love fears, but it's not the all you left behind. Yeah, I love hunger, I love pain, all you never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind.
Musical children, how are you?